their talking points, right?
Yeah, they all did a good job of getting out their messages, I thought.
And let's focus in on Wells and Tenney. Tenney's big message was about Stephen Wells.
The campaign donations to Andrew Cuomo.
And Wells' target for Tenney was...
She doesn't show up for work.
She doesn't show up for work. So who's telling the truth here? What are the facts? Let's start with Wells and the donation. It's being said that it was $11,500. Now, Wells says he donated personally. All of his donations personally went to Republicans, and that he supported Astorino against Cuomo. However, the company gave to both sides. His company gave to Astorino as well as giving to Cuomo. So is the accusation fair that he's the big Cuomo donor?
He was labeled as, and I believe this was a report in Syracuse.com, as one of his top campaign donors for whatever the last round of donations
there are restrictions
was.
on how much you can give.
There are restrictions, which I did say, I believe I said on the air, not yesterday, to Assemblywoman Tenney, was I've seen some donors on that list who've donated $50,000, $60,000. I was surprised to hear that $10,000 would make you a top-level donor.
Yeah.
So I guess I still have some questions about that because I know there are limitations. But, right, $10,000, that's a chunk of money. He's saying, as you pointed out, I gave to both sides.
Yeah.
There is her counter is, why?
Why would you even give? And there is a website. Now, in fairness, this website has been set up by the Tenney campaign, and it's paid for by Tenney for Congress. And the website is Quomo'sBiggestDonor.com. And if you see, it has a picture of Stephen Wells, and they're moving his face around, and it's kind of moving around like
Stephen
kind
Wells
of a
bobblehead. There.
It's like a little bobblehead type thing, and he's holding a check for Governor Cuomo that says $11,500. And it says it gives you the facts. Probably facts that have been somewhat distorted, but you go look for yourself and judge for yourself. On the other hand, Stephen Wells going after Assemblywoman Tenney yesterday quite aggressively, and this was probably the only heated moment of the morning yesterday. And at one point, Assemblywoman Tenney said, "How dare you question a daughter who was simply trying to help her dying mother?" I believe that I'm basically summarizing what was said, but it's pretty much what was said. So Wells continued to say that that Tenney didn't show up for work, and Claudia Tenney continued to go back to June 18th. That is the day, she said. That's the day we're talking about that I missed those votes. That's the day that I was in Albany. I had to rush home to take care of my dying mother. So Wells came back with a statement that said that's not true. You were campaigning. So what are the facts? I have to tell you that we found two stories out of the Binghamton area, and both place Assemblywoman Claudia Tenney in Binghamton, not in Albany, on June 18th. The first one was an interview or a story on the radio station WNBF, where she did an interview with a radio host there on that Wednesday, June 18th. The second was a story, and I mean these you can Google and you can find them. The second story,
and we need to disclose that NBF is one of our sister stations.
It is a town square station. Mm-hmm. The second story comes from WBNG Television, and it reports that Hannah and Tenney were both campaigning in Binghamton on June 18th, and that would place Claudia Tenney in Binghamton, not in New Hartford, in Binghamton, not coming back from Albany, but actually campaigning starting in the morning in Binghamton. So what does that say? Now, in fairness on Assemblywoman Tenney, he's saying that she didn't show up for votes and that she didn't vote. At the end of the day, in reality, she was able to make up those votes with a paper ballot. So she did vote, but she wasn't there that day. So who do you believe?
Well, it's interesting, and
however, the facts show she was not in New Hartford on June 18th.
On that day.
Which is the day that she keeps pushing.
Well, he had a laundry list of dates, by the way.
But her big one was June 18th. On June 18th, I remember it like it was yesterday, I was with my dying mother.
I guess I don't remember that.
It was said over and over again, and these show that that's not true.
So the other thing, there's an issue, and this doesn't really have anything to do with the campaign. I think it's more of this is obviously a state issue, and I just wish it would change. I wish they would change it at the federal level too. There's so many one-house bills that
are going nowhere.
And
waste of time.
Additionally, her suggestion that they reduce the days and cut the pay in half, I think that's another.
But that doesn't
option.
take.
No,
listen,
that doesn't
take away from the. I don't think. I think if here's where this story becomes difficult, and you can't deny this story. If Wells is charging that Claudia Tenney doesn't show up for work, you realize that's political rhetoric, right? Yeah. We realize she missed. There was a story in the Post-Standard that said she missed the third most votes of all the assembly in 2014. She's saying I made up those votes on the paper ballot. It's semantics. You can kind of go back and forth. It's attorneys really using the language to kind of pigeonhole someone into a position that they want them. They're really trying to reposition them. But when Claudia Tenney doubles down and says, on June 18th, I was with my mother. I rushed back from Albany. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was with my dying mother. And she said it on this program yesterday, and she said it, and I could actually do the quote because I actually had the quote. She said it yesterday during the debate, and she said it back, I believe it was June 10th when she was on the air here. She said, I did not miss any time for running for Congress during that week, but what I was doing was driving back to take care of my mother. And I drove back and forth to Albany in my own expense to make sure I could get in as many votes as possible. When my mother was in the emergency room, while my mother was suffering from a serious atrial fibrillation, she was collapsing. She could not stand up. And she said that's what it was. June 17th, 18th, and 19th, I have the records. I was with my mother. And these reports have her campaigning. I guess
that's clearly a lie.
At the end of the day, it's a lie. And I don't know how you can deny that except to go back and research it for yourself and say, okay, I misspoke there. It was on the 18th I was campaigning, but on the 19th I was with my mom. So which is it? I think that I don't think it became an issue until she doubled down and said, on the 18th I was with my dying mother. And to me, that's the statement. The rest of it's all politics. He makes campaign donations to Cuomo. Politics. She misses votes. She never shows up for work. Politics. But the issue of saying where I was, I'm telling you I was on June 18th with my dying mother, that ain't politics. Mm-hmm. That's misstated based on the stories that we've been able to uncover. We'll break here and come right back at 7:48 at WIBX.